So in this video, I'm going to share with you some lessons that I learned at this year's National that I'll take with me for next year's National. Let's do it. Well, I'm back from the National, but also back from a vacation, which I immediately took after the National, where my family and I went over to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and had an absolutely wonderful time. We rented a cabin over there for 4 nights, and first time we had ever been to the Smokey Mountains. And the cabin that we had and the views that we had were just something spectacular. I was so glad to have that opportunity to go. So I'm back, well rested. I did have a chance while I was out to really think about certain things leading up to the National, maybe some takeaways or some thoughts and regrets that I might have had. And I just wanted to share them with you as I wrap up the series of the National with this final video. And I'm really excited about what we have in store next. But I did want to just close out this series with some key thoughts. The first one is I'm gonna call them regrets. I mean, they're not really regrets. I guess just some things that I wish I really would have done that I did not get a chance to do. The first one is I really regretted I didn't go through any dollar boxes. I had just my focus was on my PSA set registries, and the next thing I know, I'm heading back home, and the National is over, and I'm going through things. I'm thinking about things, and I says, man, I did not go through any dollar boxes, and so that's something I generally enjoy doing. We'll usually carve out some time specifically for dollar boxes, but this year, I couldn't believe it. I did not go through a single dollar box, so that's a big regret. Also, another big regret that I had was not being able to see the people that I was expecting to see. There was a lot of folks, Dr. James Beckett, Rich Klein, John Newman, Nolan from Elite Co 3. These are guys that I was purposely looking to talk to, and it's just this National is so big, and you're talking like 400,000 square feet. It is so massive that you just miss people, and then timing could be a thing. But I thought about it, and I think it's just we're walking around with our heads down, just looking through boxes, looking through display cases, and the majority of my time, I'm walking around with my head down. So if I'm really, it's kind of hard to look for somebody when you're walking around with your head down. Nolan from Elite Co 3. I had an opportunity on Thursday night when the YouTube content creators met, and I seen him walk in, but the night we're just talking and just hanging out. Next thing you know, I'm leaving, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Nolan, but I really did wanted to shake Nolan's hand. A final regret that I had was I didn't get a card that commemorated the National. I know eBay was doing a giveaway, and I found out that one of them was a Jordan card, and on the back of it, it kind of commemorated the National for 2021. And I really set out to, I wanted to get one of those, and what happened was eBay's booth, they kind of wanted to clear everybody out from the front of the booth, so they made a line to the one side of it, but I didn't know that this line was forming. But I walked in that day with that they were giving away the Jordan card, and I walked up to one of the computers because it was vacant, and the people that were in line, they were, I guess, throwing a fit, and the guy behind the counter says, "Hey, were you in line or did you just jump in?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? It's open. I just came to sign up." He goes, "No, you got to get in line." And I look over to my left, and there's a line, man, of about 100, 200 people in line. And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm not gonna sit through that line." And so I ended up saying, you know what, I'll just come back, and guess what? I never came back. So that was a lot of regret there, because I wish I would have gotten. I didn't get any card that commemorated the National, and I was really wanting that Jordan one, but oh well, maybe I'll see if I can find one on eBay or something. Something that I had to consider prior to the National, because I heard some people talking about, I'm not going to go to the National to pick up stuff that I can get any day. I'm going to go to the National to pick up rare stuff only. And I guess it doesn't really fit in the scope of my collection. I'm a rookie card collector. And so, and the other thing is, you know, if I would love to collect rare stuff, scarce stuff, you know. Number one, I don't have the deep pockets that some of that stuff takes. And secondly, I have to prioritize what's a priority to me. And so I think that's how come I've kind of set aside the scarcity thing for just a little bit. Because, you know, I would love to collect that kind of stuff. But the truth is I can't collect everything. So I have to prioritize what's most important to me. And for the season that I'm in, collecting scarcity is not part of the equation. It may be someday. I do get into scarcity, you know, that's affordable. And I think that varies for everybody, but I can't do scarcity when it comes to, you know, one of my main guys in my PC, Michael Jordan. I don't have the funds to be a high-end Michael Jordan collector. I can do mid-range or low-range, but I can't do high-end. So I'm limited on that type of thing. So I stick to what I truly love, and that's rookie cards of Hall of Famers. So that's how come, I don't know, that scarcity thing is subjective, I guess is my point. It did make me think, though, so I thank content creators who were making that point. I think you do have a valid point, but you know, it's a statement that it's not for everybody. It just depends on where you're at and what your goals are. My goals are completing set. I guess I'm a completist when it comes to set registries, and I love taking on projects like that and doing player runs or rookie card player runs or that sort of thing. That's where I get my most enjoyment from. And lastly, I just want to talk to you guys about the National in Atlantic City 2022. I guess my point here is planning for Atlantic City in 2022 starts today. It actually started Monday, August 2nd, 2021, is when my mind shifted to start planning and preparing for 2022. And what I'm about to share with you next is perhaps I'm going to be sharing with you some personal things, and I'm not telling you how to live your life or anything like that. I'm just giving you some examples of what I have done so far to prepare for the National next year. The first thing I did was I spoke with my wife. Now, I think it's really important for couples, especially married couples, to be on the same page with certain things. And I was sitting there in the Smokey Mountains, woke up in the morning with my wife. We went out to the back porch of the cabin. We were sipping on a cup of coffee, looking at the glorious views and taking in that fresh air. But I started to talk to my wife about the National for next year. And I started explaining to her the importance of me being there next year, and started explaining to her why it's important to me, and so I started giving her dates, you know, expectations of what I would like to do or how I would like to work it for myself and the family for the coming year. And you know, I think as a married collector, having being on the same page with our spouse is extremely important. And you know, I stepped away from the hobby in 2004 primarily for my wife and kids. And I think it's honorable, you collectors who have young kids. I think it's honorable that you guys, how you guys can balance that out. And that's honorable. Back in 2004, I was doing card shows every weekend, and I'm traveling all over the Northwest Indiana region. I'm gone for the entire weekend, and I was leaving my wife at home with 5 kids. And you know what? That just really wasn't fair. So I really had to prioritize my collecting, prioritize my life. And one of the reasons why I quit collecting in 2004 was because I belonged at home. And I belonged helping my spouse raise our children. And so always, for me, I had to always keep that perspective to keep my priorities straight. And that's how come when it comes to the national and that sort of thing and making decisions about me just taking off for, a week, my wife needs to be a part of that game plan. And so I was able to share with her this past weekend. When we're in agreement and we go do certain activities like this, things seem to be a lot more enjoyable as opposed to us being in disagreement and us doing whatever we want anyways. And that just brings friction within the marital relationship. So another very important point here is counting the cost. We have to count the cost today. And so counting the cost, to me, what that means is, okay, I've never been to Atlantic City. I've never done the national down there. But now I got to figure, travel, the cost of an airplane. Give or take, I'm thinking, about $350 round trip. Hotel's going to be another $350 is what I'm thinking. Admission is going to be a couple $100s, right? And food, that sort of thing. So now I'm looking anywhere between $1,000 to $1,200 to make this thing actually happen. And that's just walking through the door and getting back home. And so let's just call it $1,200. Now I got to figure out what my budget is, what my expectations are as far as purchasing cards are. And it's typically as much as possible, right? So let's just say, I'm going to round off numbers, I would like $2,000 to go to the Atlantic City next year. Let's just call it $1,800. So between the cards that I want to buy and food and lodging and all of that, travel expenses, we're looking at $3,000 is what I'm going to be needing for Atlantic City. So I have to begin preparing for that today. And so I started looking at this, and if I were to take $3,000, and I get paid every 2 weeks. So if I were to take the $3,000 and divide it by 26 paychecks within a year, that's how many paychecks I get in a year, it comes out to $115 every pay. If I were to get paid every week, it would come out roughly to about $58 a week that I would have to save for the national. And so that would help put things in perspective on what I can do to go to the national. What I don't want to do, what I try not doing ever, is unloading a bunch of cards just so I can go to the national, or just so I can. I mean, that is an option. Don't get me wrong, but for me personally, I'm a collector. The stuff that I have is for PC, and I hate just selling PC to go do an event like this. I would really want it to come out of my budget. And speaking of budget, that's another thing that's really important. Now, my wife and I, we have separate accounts when it comes to, we have our primary account for the house. And we each have our own checking account where we give each other an allowance. Now, both of us are on each other's accounts only in the event that something were to happen to one of us, the other has access to the account. So both names are on there, but I have an account separate for my sports card purchases, and she has an account because my wife is a big marathon runner. She runs several marathons a year, and with that hobby, there's a lot of expenses. So We have separate accounts when it comes to that sort of thing. And I have a set dollar amount that I get every 2 weeks for my check that we both agreed upon. And she also gets a set amount for allowance for her hobby. And so with that then comes, it's fair for both sides. Now, what we also do is overtime. We've capped our overtime at 4 hours. So if I get any overtime, like a couple hours of overtime within a pay period, I get to pocket that money also. And she gets to do the same. Now we've capped it at 4. Say I get 8-hour shift. Well, 4 hours would go to my play account, and then the other 4 hours goes into our primary account. And she likewise does the same situation with her overtime. And so I really have the opportunity then to build that kitty up. And so this type of scenario really plays important when it comes to going to the national. And so it inspires me then, because I've got a goal a year from now, because I have a game plan per se. I'm now, hey, I'll pick up a shift. Hey, Vic, overtime this Saturday. You want to work it? Yeah, I'll be there. Working a holiday where I get, double time and a half for working a holiday. And I'll do that in order for me to build up my kitty. And so those are, I guess, certain things that we can do today to plan for 2022 National in Atlantic City. I'm excited, and I'm really planning. I'm already slicing up numbers and seeing what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it, and making an overall game plan, because I really want to be there. And I know, certain things happen, and, that throughout the year, certain emergencies that we have to kind of dip into that money. Hey, I get it, man. And those are sacrifices that are honorable. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And sometimes what they say, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. And if he has to give up his national fund for a family emergency, then hey, so be it. But we can still do our due diligence in planning today for a better tomorrow. And I wanted to share with you guys a card that I picked up when I went to Tennessee. My wife and my daughters, they wanted to go get their nails done over in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. We went into town, and they had an appointment scheduled, and I was like, hey, so, how long is this going to take? They says, this is going to take about an hour. And I'm like, what? What am I going to do for an hour? So I went out to the car. I punched in a sports card shop near me. I ended up finding a place directly across the street from the nail salon. Really cool card shop called The Dugout. And I went and bought a souvenir. The souvenir that I purchased is this 1983 Donruss Julio Franco rookie card in a PSA 10. Was really excited to pick this one up. It was pretty affordable. I wasn't looking to spend a ton of money. I just wanted to check out the card shop. Just wanted to pick up a little souvenir. Really enjoy the career and life story of Julio Franco, and so I picked it up. With all that said, guys, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks for tuning in. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. And if you like this content, please remember to hit that subscribe button so we can do all that jazz with the YouTube thing. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.